Hey, welcome to a new segment on my channel. It's called Ask Ja. That's young Ja, Jamal Armstrong. If you're not following him on Twitter, you should. The link to his Twitter is in the description. I'm Grant Cohn, Quality Control, joined by young Ja. Not Ja Rule himself, but young Ja. Because Ja was busy. Ja has a lot of things to talk about these days. Anyway, theme of the show is I ask you questions.
For sure.
6 of them today. 5 are 49ers question, and 1 is a bonus NFL at large topic. And we'll take any questions that people have from the chat. But pressure's on you today, Jamal. First question.
Yeah.
First question. Trey Lance versus the Doubters. How does this man, 22 years old, 2 starts, plays in Santa Clara, California? How does he have so many critics who have so much to say, and they're so freaking loud about it? It's kind of a phenomenon. How do you explain it?
You know what? I think you just said it right there. It's kind of a phenomenon. It really is. We've seen this dude have 2 legit starts. You know, he's played another half. I happened to go to the Seahawks game in week 4. I was there at that game last year. Jimmy played the first half. Trey obviously came in and played the second half. But the thing is, I'll start off with saying this. One thing that I'm getting comfortable with myself is saying sometimes if we don't have all the information, sometimes we need to be okay saying, I don't know. But I think when it comes to, I don't want to even just say journalism, I would say kind of just media and the phenomenon that is Trey Lance at this point in time due to so many unknowns, it drives up clicks to say, oh, he's not going to be this, or he is, even on the other end, he is going to be this. It drives clicks, it drives up engagement. This is more of a quiet period. Yes, we just had OTAs, training camps like that's coming up, things like that are coming up. But at this point in time, I think it's a situation where, we don't know exactly what this kid is or isn't going to be. On one side, you have people who are super, super pro Trey Lance. I'm pro Trey Lance. I don't think he's going to come out and throw for 5,000 yards, 50 touchdowns like Patrick Mahomes. That's unrealistic. Now, could it happen? I don't know. Maybe he has that in him, but the 49ers run a totally different offense than that in the first place. On the other side, you have those who are saying, "Oh, he's only had a couple starts. He didn't have a whole lot of experience in college as well too. This kid, he's only 22 years old now. He came in as a 21-year-old rookie. Oh, there's a lot on his plate. No way he could do that. No way he can come out and have a good season." I think that's easy to say. It's also lazy, in my personal opinion. I think it's lazy because I think you have to consider what is around Trey Lance. I think Kyle Shanahan is a great head. I don't want to say great. Can't say great yet. He's a good head coach. He's a good offensive mind. I think he got a lot of good weapons around Trey Lance as well, too. George Kittle, Deebo Samuel. I think Brandon Ayuk has a chance to jump out. Jawan Jennings may have the best hands on the team. There's a lot of weapons there. We added some more to the run game as well, too, which, by the way, the 49ers are still going to be a run-first team. But I can go back to this past year and show you game logs where Jimmy Garoppolo threw the ball 25-plus times still. So go ahead.
I feel like this phenomenon is just so fascinating to me. And I want to really explain why it's going on. And I think it's the Niners are partially responsible by not playing him.
Right.
Because he didn't play in 2020. He really hasn't played since 2019, right?
Right.
He played in North Dakota State. He killed it. Then he didn't play, took a year off. Then the Niners made him take a year off. And now he's obviously he's a starting quarterback in the NFL for a very prominent franchise, and people want analysis.
Right.
What are we going to expect? And there's no evidence. And so there's all these people who are starved for information about Trey Lance, and there's nothing that you can say. So you have people just making shit up. It's like, people searching his name on YouTube. People searching his name. I watched the tape.
Right.
And trash. It's like, no, you didn't, man. There's 2 games. Like the whole, and you wouldn't say that about Justin Fields because there's a whole season of that you can watch. Fair. No one has anything they can look at with Trey Lance. So you have all these people who are kind of like snake oil salesmen being like, I have the answer. No, you don't.
Right. That's a fair point, though. What you said, I think if I'm reading between the lines of some of the words that you just said, I'm going to hit the nail on the head. The 49ers didn't do any favors for Trey Lance throughout the season last year. They didn't prop him up. They haven't come out this season and say Trey Lance is QB1. I've heard some of the players say it, right, in the meetings. But the 49ers haven't. They haven't always had him prominently featured on promos, things like that. It's started more now. And so you hear people like myself, people like you, oh, this dude's coming out, he's going to be QB1 now. We didn't get a whole lot of that this last year. And to your point, you're right. He only played a couple games. Justin Fields, Mac Jones, all these other rookies that were drafted in the first round played the whole year. So you have people on one side saying, well, Jimmy Garoppolo's still on the roster. He still played when he was really hurt. How did Trey Lance not get in then? He must suck. I think people have to realize that two things can be true. Jimmy Garoppolo could have been the starter unless he could not play last year because they wanted what was best for Trey Lance and the future going forward. By the way, little side snippet. I'm with you. I thought Trey Lance should have started last year. That's what I would have done. Start that train. Get it rolling now so that by the time his rookie contract's up, you know fully what you have. You want to pay him. You don't want to pay him. I didn't think Jimmy Garoppolo was that much better that Trey Lance couldn't see the field. That being said, yeah, you have people on one side saying, this kid can't be that great. He must not be good because Jimmy Garoppolo is still playing. Why can't two things be true? Why can't Jimmy Garoppolo have been the starter last year and that was the goal all along, all season long, because they wanted to set Trey Lance up for the future because he is their future. Can't two things be true? I don't think we live in a world like that, though, especially when it comes to sports.
I just think it's so interesting that people are so much more interested in Trey Lance than Zach Wilson or Trevor Lawrence or Justin Fields or Mac Jones when all those guys played last year and you can actually make informed opinions about them. No one really wants to talk about them as much as Trey Lance. Why? Well, maybe it's because I'm stuck in the Niners Twitter, but I really think nationally he's the topic too. And it's because people are obsessed with the unknown. You're talking about something no one knows. And so everyone is equally expert about it. But like when you watch Trevor Lawrence, it's like, well, yeah, I mean, I saw the whole year. It didn't look great. You know what I mean? But I mean, like, it's not his fault necessarily. Let's wait until we see more. But with Trey Lance, it's like, I can't.
There's no nuance.
About him enough because I don't know why he didn't play last year. It's a mystery.
Right.
So the theory. Yeah.
You're
and Jimmy's
absolutely
still
right.
on the team, so the conversation continues.
It's annoying. It's annoying. If he's on this team come week 1, I don't know what I'm going to do. I'm still going to sit here and watch it. But if he's on this team, there's going to raise a lot more questions. I think a lot of people who are saying, oh, Jimmy Garoppolo, if he's here, he's going to be the starter week 1. I think a lot of those people might feel validated. Let me ask you this question, though. If he is somehow on this roster week 1, you still think Trey Lance is the starter, or you think it'll be Jimmy?
I don't see how the Niners can keep Jimmy Garoppolo as a backup. I don't see how the locker room would let it happen. They love him. They love him. And he's made it clear he doesn't want to be here anymore. So to keep him and say, you have to be on a team you don't want to be anymore, and you have to be the backup, I mean, he might actually finally say something publicly, and I think a lot of people would have his back. So we're going to get to Garoppolo in a bit. But yeah, I don't see how if he stays, I feel like he's staying for one reason, because the Niners feel Trey Lance isn't ready yet, and it seems like
I hate that.
He's freaking ready in minicamp to me.
Okay.
Yeah, one thing about Lance and the doubters. Remember the very highly publicized draft class that came out. A lot of analysts sort of dug in their opinion before these guys were even drafted. So a lot of people are just kind of trying to be like, "See, I was right. I said in 2020 that the guy was trash." It's like, how much have you heard that? Right? I was a scout in the league, and I was. It's like, yeah, okay, right. You're the greatest. That's why you're not a scout in the league anymore. But you should be. I don't know, that kind of stuff. Everyone wants to be right. Everyone wants to say they saw it coming.
Hey, if you see that guy post, just tag Indeed.com. Help that man get a job. That's all I'm saying. Help that young man get a job.
I tried.
You did try.
I had to fire me from an unpaid position. That's never a good feeling.
Oof.
Sorry.
From the Jets to Grant Cohn, and you lost both. Sorry, bro.
Sorry. Okay, moving on. Now, the offensive line is an interesting thing. To me, like, when you looked at what happened with Andrew Luck, his career was totally derailed because they didn't take that seriously. Same thing could happen to Joe Burrow, although they just went to the Super Bowl last year with the worst giving up the most sacks in the league. And everyone said they should have drafted Penei Sewell. They drafted Jamar Chase. They were right. So maybe as, the ball comes out quicker and the game's more about getting the ball to your playmakers in space right away, maybe pass protection isn't as important. But the Niners are really going to test that theory this year because outside of left tackle, they got question marks. So let's go position by position and try to figure out what this could be. I don't think we need to talk about left tackle. I mean, other than they have the best one in the game, and if he gets hurt, the next man up would probably be Colton McKivitz.
Agreed.
Because, okay. And frankly, he should have played in the NFC Championship game, and Trent Williams said it himself.
Mm-hmm. Right.
You can't play left tackle on a high ankle sprain. He tried.
No way. There's no way.
You can't.
Right.
So anyway, he's like, he even sees like, how do I tell my teammates I can't play? I can't.
Right.
I can't do it. So he tried, but it should have been McKivitz. All right, left guard. What do you think?
So left guard, I think it's probably going to be Aaron Banks. Before I even get into that, let me say this. So I've done some other podcasts throughout the summer. One thing I've always said, I kind of want to know if you agree with this. There's a lot of question marks on this offensive line. No question. There really is. From an outside perspective, I'm not in the organization every day. I didn't get to see Aaron Banks, these guys last year. I don't know. I don't know how they're going to improve. I don't know how much they have improved. But I'll say this. I do think it's I'm willing to err on the side of caution when it comes to the 49ers and how they have developed their offensive linemen, because I've seen them get some decent production out of guys like my person, Purcell. I've seen them do things like that with some of these guys. John Compton. Yeah, 100%.
A lot of games with Tom Compton, and I didn't see that coming.
Yeah, and if we're just gonna be blunt about it, we've had quite a few offensive linemen on the 49ers who probably wouldn't be starters or even make a lot of other teams. But I think the difference is with the 49ers and with some of these other teams. Let's use the Chiefs, for example. I talked about them a second ago. They're going to be much more of a pass-heavy team. The 49ers are still going to be a run-first team. Right. Now, when we say run-first team, does that mean that they're going to run the ball 60 times a game and pass the ball 15? No, I don't necessarily think that. But I do think if it's working, they're not going to run away from it. And they also have Trey Lance.
They pass it, and they're probably going to run the ball more than any other team in the league. I agree with that. So run blocking is more important.
It is. And so I think you can kind of get away with guys who maybe wouldn't make it on other teams, maybe a little shaky. I think you could get away with it. And so the last thing I'll say just in regards to that part is if the 49ers have an offensive line unit that can rank probably in the top 14, 13, and we're not talking about them consistently on a week-by-week basis, I think that's a good thing. I think there's a lot that goes into the offensive line, but I also think that if we're not talking about them, that means they're probably doing their job and it's boring. I want to see boring offensive line work. Go ahead.
But let's come back to Aaron Banks. I mean, he's going to get the first crack at this starting job. I agree. It's funny. They asked about his body. He's like, yeah, I didn't lose any weight. I lost some fat, added some muscle. Like Trent Williams came out and he's like, the dude lost 20 pounds. He totally remade his body. Mm-hmm. He looks slimmer to me. To me, like he is supposed to be a dominant player here. He's a second-round pick. I mean, I guess he's not supposed to be as good as Laken Tomlinson, but he's supposed to be an asset as a run blocker at least. So I don't know if I know he doesn't really have the mobility to do the outside zone stuff, but I don't expect that as much this year. It's going to be more of like a shotgun between the tackles run game with him and the center, like combo blocking people. So move people. I'd like to see. He's supposed to. He did in college, right? He's a big dude. I mean, move.
He did.
Yeah.
What do you expect from him this year? Do you think it was a problem that he didn't play last year? Because I have a lot of questions. I don't know what to expect. I don't want to rule him out, but I do have questions about his in shape ability.
It seems like the Niners drafted 3 offensive players and redshirted all of them.
Yeah.
Lance, Sermon, and Banks. And it seems like they all were drafted with an eye toward this year because Lance takes the offense from under center to the shotgun.
Mm-hmm.
Trey Sermon played with Kyler Murray and Justin Fields in the shotgun in college. And Aaron Banks is that guard you need in the inside zone read run game. So it seemed like they wanted to do this transition, but they felt like it was going to happen this year, and Banks needed to remake his body, and Lance needed to redo his mechanics. And there was so we'll see if the process worked. We'll see.
We will.
Yeah.
So do you think it's going to be more power run rather than outside zone now? Or do you think it'll be a good mixture of both?
I think it's going to be a lot of inside zone from the shotgun. And they'll have some gap scheme stuff too, because they have a lot of variety. But here's the evidence I would point to. Anthony Lynn is here now.
Right.
When he was an offensive coordinator in 2016 in Buffalo, he had Tyrod Taylor and LaShawn McCoy. That team led the league in rushing yards and touchdowns. And their split was 2-to-1 runs from the gun as opposed to runs from under center. So they'll still do runs from under center, but with Jimmy, it was the other way around.
Absolutely.
He's not a threat as a runner in the shotgun. So what's the real point? You have no play. You don't have the play action isn't as effective, and he doesn't add anything. But now once you have a mobile running quarterback, you really want a lot of shotgun stuff, because even if you don't run him, everyone's freaked out about it.
Absolutely. No, you're absolutely right. I agree with that. And I think that's a fair point.
Right.
They're going to run the ball a lot.
So look at Trey Sermon, look at Ty Davis Price. Like, what do they do in college? That kind of stuff that they're going to be doing this year with Trey Lance.
Absolutely. You look at even just the makeup, the build of a Trey Sermon. He's a lot like a Melvin Gordon. Anthony Lynn's got a lot of work, and his best year was under Anthony Lynn. So that's a fair point. That's a fair point.
For sure. Yep.
If we move on to center, I think it is going to be probably Jake Brendel.
If it doesn't work out with Aaron Banks, who do we think is going to step up?
Ooh.
McKivitz could do that too if they want to. I think what the Niners are trying to do is not have people flipping left and right. I think that's not working. So you might have a tackle slide
Jalen Moore?
Could be, although Moore's been playing a lot.
Burford?
Burford's been playing right. Well, that's why I say it. But those guys are candidates. I'm thinking McKivitz might be the backup left tackle, left guard. Yeah.
So swing.
Maybe not. We'll see. We'll see. Anyway.
That's fair.
Center.
I do. I mean, we've been talking about it a lot lately, especially because Alex Mack just retired. But I mean, I do. I think at this point in time, it's got to be Jake Brendel. I really do. He's got a lot of reps with Trey Lance. That does mean something. It really does. The fact that he was the second string primary backup, took all his snaps from Trey last year. He has a lot of, I would say, experience also in this system. I know he didn't play a whole lot, but he's been with us for a couple years now. He was with Chris Furster with Miami as well, too. So there's familiarity there. Alex Mack and Brendel have a lot of similar athleticism as well, too. So that's where it comes back to me saying the question marks. There are question marks. I don't know how he's going to respond. And it is still a drop-off from Alex Mack to Brendel. And there's a lot of pressure and responsibility put on the center in particular. Got to be able to call out, certain coverages that are coming. He has to be able to have that connection with Trey Lance. I know they've worked together a lot this past year. So I'm, once again, erring on the side of caution with Jake Brendel. I think he can be a solid starter. I don't expect too much out of him, but I think maybe because we don't know, it's easy to freak out about it. It is. We don't know what to expect from him. But at the same time, he's been in the system for a couple of years now. Was with Furster before that. So I'm willing to err on the side of he may be further along than what any of these rookies could get to.
What's fascinating to me about Brendel is the signs were there last year that the Niners believed in him. I didn't even know he was on the team, Jamal. I forgot. Right. He was on the practice squad. But I'm looking here. He was active for 16 games last year. I didn't know that. I didn't know that. Wasn't. They trusted him. And I always assumed that if something happened to Alex Mack, that Daniel Brunskill would slide over and replace him. No. Had anything ever happened to Mack, it would have been Brendel. And that's what Kyle keeps saying. He's like, Brendel was our backup center last year.
Don't forget about Brendel.
He was on the team. He was active. He was the backup center. I mean, I don't understand why people are so surprised. And it's like, yeah, it was right in front of us. And the one extra thing that Jose Sanchez, writer on my site, All 49ers, pointed out, which was genius, is that Brendel has been – I mean, Lance has taken all of his snaps with Brendel.
Yeah.
He's coming to the 49ers. So they already have a rapport as well. I'm not sure that Brendel's going to be the starting center week 17. But I do think he's going to get the first crack week 1, and we'll see how it goes.
Who would be your guess by week 17? Do you think one of these rookies is going to just improve throughout the season to get that? Because I honestly feel like when it comes to center in particular, we don't talk about it enough, but the ability to have that rapport for exchanges, especially if Lance is going to be in shotgun, that means a lot. That could lead to 1, 2, 5 turnovers throughout the course of the season if it's a switch. That's a big deal to me.
Agree. If the Niners are in the playoff hunt at the end of the season, as they should be, and Jake Brendel isn't good enough, I think they could trade for a center. They could do that. Get Jimmy Garoppolo's money off the books and trade for a center, or the only other option is really moving Brunskill over at that point. So,
yeah, right.
You got that. He has started at least 8 games at center in his career, and he wasn't terrible. So you got that. That's the 1 and 2 I think at center. I mean, Donovan West.
Yeah.
Maybe in a year or two.
That's my thinking right now too. I think he'll be on the team.
Yeah. Got you.
I agree. Do you think Donovan West is going to be a practice squad stash then this year? Probably. Or is it's too early? It's too early.
I don't think he's going to show out in preseason to the point where someone's going to swoop him off the 49ers after not getting drafted. I think the Niners, he'll be there he'll be on the practice squad, and he might be their starting center one day. I mean, if they think they can develop guys like Jake Brendel into starting centers, maybe Donovan West fits too, but probably not right away. Especially because it seems like the center, they want the guy to have a great grasp of what the offense is.
I agree.
You know what I mean?
I agree. I think you have to, especially in Kyle's system. I think that's one thing a lot of fans, I think it's one thing that a lot of us know a lot. There's a lot of pressure, there's a lot of responsibility placed on the center in this offense. If Brendel is not stepping up, there's a lot of confusion. I don't think that would be just Trey Lance. I think some of that will fall onto his shoulders being the starting quarterback, if that's the case. But at the same time, I don't think that's fully his fault.
Justin Lomker says, does Kyle have the patience to work through bumps with Lance will have this year? Doesn't seem like he will, even if the issues aren't directly his fault. Well, he never seemed particularly patient with Jimmy Garoppolo. Now, in Kyle's defense, Jimmy never improved. And Jimmy was making a lot of money and was a lot older and had worked with Tom Brady for all that time. But I don't know about Kyle's patience. That's a good question.
That is a good question. I kind of think, tell me if you agree with me on this. Do you think that Kyle Shanahan's job is on the line if it doesn't work out with Trey Lance?
Yeah. Depending.
I think it's limitation.
If Trey Lance is just a flat out bust, which I don't think he will be, but if he were like Johnny Manziel or something, then yeah,
100%.
Because I think people would look at Kyle as great scheme, but you got to keep him away from personnel, man.
Right,
far away from personnel, and that takes his stock way down.
Let that dude be an OC. He might be best served as an OC if he can't cut it as a head coach.
Yeah.
And one thing Kyle's done is sometimes I do feel like he puts too much on his plate being the head coach. Sometimes it's okay to hire other staff members, assistant coaches who can take on some of the roles, so you can be able to see throughout the course of the season what happened during the play. Oh, I had my head down. I was watching this. I didn't get to see that. You should be watching every play. You should be seeing everything that's going on.
Jamal, how old are you?
28.
28. You remember Mike Shanahan?
Yes, sir.
If you remember, the way I remember Mike Shanahan was excellent coach, hell of a scheme. Had a lot of down years because he got ultimate power with the Broncos and really meddled a ton in personnel and got it wrong more than he got it right. And it's like, for whatever reason, Kyle and Mike feel like they can't do their job, and they're feel like the emperor of the building. And they've gotten that power, but it hasn't worked out for them. It really hasn't. Just saying. And McVay's not the emperor of the Rams. Les Snead's very powerful. So I don't know.
I agree. And sometimes that comes down to personality. I think it might just come down to the personality, the way these coaches, the way Sean McVay is. Sean McVay is 100% a player's coach. Kyle Shanahan, I think he's a player's coach. I wouldn't say he's 100% a player's coach. I think it's my way or the highway. I'm going to tell you like it is. Either get with it or get out. I'm just going to be honest.
And it's like, they're all control freaks to a degree, but a reluctance to delegate. Maybe very few people you actually trust delegating to. And one is his dad. One was Mike McDaniel, who's gone. Part of being a head coach is being really good at delegating and having a lot of people you trust. Otherwise, because just every single job that you try to do on your own is a 24/7 job on its own. Like if you hired someone would be doing that 24/7 all year. And now you're saving those jobs that you're trying to knock out at once.
Good luck.
Good luck. You're
know your strengths, know your weaknesses.
You're great, but you're spreading yourself thin. Last Second Sports, that rings a bell.
I know that guy.
Shout out my guy Jamal. I love y'all. What's up, Jesse?
Appreciate you.
Mr. Hickman says, here's $2. Thank you. I appreciate that. Again, Caden Hickman says, what happened to Mondays with Vish? He's on the other side of the world.
I'm on vacation.
Rich Bonsall says, Brunskill to center, Banks and Moore at the guards. That could happen. We're going to talk about that in a minute. We're not done. Voice Ad Agency says there's an insane highlight clip of Lance in high school. He played offense and defense. I think that is what gives him an advantage compared to other quarterbacks. Yeah, he's a great athlete for sure. All right, let's finish up this topic. Right guard, what you see? How you see this happening?
I do think it'll be Brunskill. I think you and I see it the same way. I think it's going to be Brunskill right now. If there's any problems, we really just spoke about it. If there's any issues with Jake Brendel, I think he potentially could slide over to center. But I also think, and this is coming down to some of my depth pieces that I think will probably make the roster, just not as a starter. I think you look at guys like Burford, Moore, and even Nick Zakelj. I think those are three guys. And from what I've heard, I don't know too much about this player yet, but from what I've heard about Zakelj, he seems to be a very, very smart player that's been on the 49ers radar for many years. I think all the way back to when he was a freshman. So he's another option that I think will have the ability to potentially make this roster and transition. I don't want to say transition to center, but I think he might have the smarts and the headiness to potentially play that position. I just think halfway through the season, a quarter way through the season, you probably don't want to have to make that kind of switch, especially for a rookie. I think right now it'll probably be Brunskill.
Agree. He does have knee tendonitis or whatever. Didn't do anything this offseason. I'm sure I'm not sure. I expect he'll be okay for training camp. If it's not him and he starts breaking down, then the next guy up would be Jalen Moore.
I think Jalen Moore, right?
Jalen Moore. I think he's a year ahead of Spencer Burford. Burford probably is more gifted, but he's the youngest player in the team. He's 21.
Mm-hmm.
So probably Jalen Moore at right guard. Then right tackle, McGlinchey says he'll be back for week 1. So if he's healthy, it's him.
Yeah.
I'm skeptical. So let's say McGlinchey isn't ready week 1.
Yeah.
You think we'll be taking?
I think at that point, if he's not ready, I do think it'll be Nick Zakelj. I think he has the ability to hold that position down due to. Say it again.
Oh wow.
I do. I partially think that some of the draft picks that we made were due to the chance that he could potentially not come back. This being Mike McGlinchey, or this could potentially seriously be his last year playing for the 49ers. To me, from what I've heard, I don't know too much about this player yet, but I have heard that Nick Zakelj is a very smart player. So I think they could be working with him right now during training camp to potentially have him slide into right tackle. I kind of see that as one of the more underrated pieces that maybe people aren't talking about right now. I want to go as far as to saying he might be the first offensive lineman off the. I think he could be.
That's interesting. He's a very intriguing player. In minicamp, they had him at left guard. He was a left tackle in college, and they said that they're going to try him at center. So maybe that's the guy who's their starting center next year. Yeah, absolutely. I'm going to go at right tackle, though. At least with the guy they had in minicamp and OTAs was Justin School. Remember him?
Yeah, I do.
I don't know.
A little bit.
They won games with Justin School, just like they won a lot of games with Tom Compton. He's not great, but I think he might get the first crack at it just because he's a vet who's been in their program for a while. Also, Jalen Moore could get a look out there, too. They like him. Okay. And I think they felt that he really showed a lot for a rookie. I think they feel that rookie offensive linemen struggle, that they really have to get a lot stronger. And Jalen Moore should be a lot stronger than last year. So I think they're going to give him a real close look at both right guard and right tackle. He might just be better than Daniel Brunskill. He might just be better than Michael Lynchy. Like, look out for Jalen Moore.
Can I ask you a question about that?
Yes.
So just in regards to Jalen Moore, and you just mentioned right now the potential of him starting either at guard or tackle. Maybe you know the answer to this. Maybe I'm talking to the wrong person about it. What would you say are some of the nuances between playing guard or playing tackle and being able to swing like that at a moment's notice?
Well, the pass protection is much different.
Right.
I mean, as a tackle, they always say, like, you get to take 3 or like a couple kick slides. There's time and space between you and the guy, and it's very one-on-one. At guard, it's like the contact happens instantly.
Right away.
So a whole different set of techniques in that. But in terms of the run blocking, I think it's probably pretty interchangeable. I mean, outside zone, it's the same reach technique. I think it's pretty similar. So I think that's why if it's a run first team, maybe they feel they're a little bit more interchangeable, guard, tackle, that kind of stuff.
And that's the part that I was getting at.
Their offensive linemen are particularly great one-on-one on the edge. I mean, other than Trent Williams,
right?
That's
the part.
One-on-one.
I agree with you right there. That's the part that I was really trying to get at and see if I was in the wrong for thinking that. Because we are a run first team, it should be not as difficult to transition between guard and tackle due to the fact that we are a run first team.
Look at Tom Compton. He did it.
100%.
He did it. Absolutely. Keneal says Jamal. My guy, keep killing it. He is killing it. He's a natural. 49ers Daddy said this show with Jamal is fire. Lance MVP season. It is fire. We just got to get Jamal in a different room next time.
Facts. Let me work on that.
Every time, the first time it's like, there's like 2 or 3 things. You're like, yeah. And then boom. Then you got the most professional show ever after that.
I heard a comment earlier saying all Jamal needs to do is open a window or open a door. So I'm probably going to try that next time.
Probably that. Or
I don't know if that's the case.
Like a couch or something. You know what I'm saying? Something to take up the echo.
I got you.
But yeah, opening up a window, I'll do it too. We got this one. There's an insane. We got that one. Hold on. Jamal, 49ers Daddy. Solabo Bay Area says the Bay Area got your back, Iggy. You have a friend in me. LOL off topic. That's very nice of you to say. Thank you. All right. Why do you think the 49ers like Talanoa Hufanga so much? I mean, this isn't a guy that they spent a first-round pick on or a second. It's a fifth-round pick, and they talk about him. Really, they've been much more consistently positive with Talanoa than they've been with Trey Lance.
I agree.
Why?
That's such a great question.
Yeah.
When it comes to him, I have to look beyond just athleticism because I'll be totally honest. When I was looking at the draft, I was looking for us to draft a starting safety because I didn't, and I haven't viewed Talanoa Hufanga as a starting safety. Then they didn't draft one, and they passed over the guy that I wanted in Nick Cross. Mm-hmm. I love Nick Cross as a safety. I think he's super athletic. I think he's also a smart, heady player, and in some ways, he does remind me of Jaquiski Tartt. I actually think he might have even better ball production, to be totally honest. And then he goes to the Colts. That hurt me so bad. I was a big fan of Nick Cross. So the fact that they did pass over him, they passed over guys like Marquise Bell, they passed over those guys, it made me think, okay, why did they not draft one? And do they just see Talanoa Hufanga as a potential starting safety? And does that have anything to do with Jimmy Ward? Does it say more about Jimmy Ward as a safety than it does about Jaquiski Tartt, or even than it does about Talanoa Hufanga? When I look at Talanoa Hufanga, not the most athletic guy, but what is he? I think he is very smart. I think he is very heady. I think you can look at the Cardinals game last year, and he got beat by Christian Kirk deep, and that was where I was like, see, this is why I don't think he will be a starting safety, or I would say a very good starting safety. But the more I look at it, I see him as I think his potential is a solid starting safety due to the fact that he is, I think you could honestly make the argument right now that he's one of, if not the best, just pure tackler on the team. I think when it comes to tackling, he's very good, very sound. And I think he loves playing. I think he loves tackling. I think he's the type of guy that you can get a lot of energy to other players just by the way that he plays. Is he fast? No, he's not. But I do think he's the type of guy that's generally, not always, generally in position, I would say 9 times out of 10. If you remember the Bengals game this last year, I think that was around the time the 49ers started to play a lot more cover 2. Also remember, that's about the same time that Ambry Thomas came in to be starting corner. So when you look at cover 2 and what that defense does, it puts a lot more, I would say, pressure on the safeties to cover both deep halves, but also to fit the alleys during the runs as well, during run plays. So when that happens, I think that's where I personally feel Talanoa Hufanga is used best. I think he is a really great tackler. I think he has the ability to play on the deep half. I don't think he has the speed to match up one-on-one and just stay with the guy deep down the field. But if he's able to be, what's the word I was looking for? If he makes the play on Wednesday because he knows where he's supposed to be, I don't think he'll ever be out of position. So that being said, I think he has the ability to be a potential starting safety because of one, he does have Jimmy Ward next to him, who's a Swiss Army knife. You can play him in the slot, you can play him back, you can play him in the box. I think that because of those things, it allows potentially Talanoa Hufanga to be a starting safety, just solid. I don't think he'll be anything amazing.
Here's why I think the Niners are so enthusiastic about Talanoa Hufanga. It's weird, but I think it's the position that they value the least on the team. Safety. It's like it's like they haven't drafted a safety higher than round 5 since Kyle Shanahan and John Lynch have been there. And it's weird because John Lynch is one of the greatest safeties ever. You'd think he would sort of understand the importance of safeties, but the Niners really are convinced that this is not a position you draft high and that you can get good safeties late. And so it's almost like, people that shop at thrift stores. My mom used to always stop and shop at thrift. God love her. I love that. But it's like, it's a way that you show off your stuff from thrift stores. You'd be like, so what do you think? And you look at it and be like, it's nice. It's cool. They'd be like,
high voice.
$2. I got it for $2. You'd be like, oh, well, and for $2, that is one heck of a lamp. I mean, that's a great $2 lamp. And that's where the Niners are at. His safety is like, what do you think of the safety here? He's like, well, he runs a 4.6. I mean, it's like, we got him in the 5th round. It's like, oh, well, for a 5th round pick, if he were just a special teamer, then great. And you might get a starter. Wonderful. So I think the Niners are always kind of trying to talk themselves into this diamond in the rough DB, which to me is like, I don't know, the rest of the league is scouring college football for DBs because it's a passing league and offenses are putting 3-4 wide receivers out there all the time.
Right.
And you're like, yeah, we'll get this dude that no one else saw who runs a 4.6. Like, am I allowed to be skeptical on that one?
Absolutely. Please.
Yeah.
Please.
Like, I think DBs are important and they go early, and they're usually it's hard to find the diamond in the rough in 2022.
I agree. And I guess the reason that I even mentioned athleticism, and then I also say I kind of feel like the 49ers maybe don't value athleticism at safety in particular as much, because I think you're able to be heady. But at the same time, if you're not in position and you're not the most athletic player, that's when I think big plays happen. So I think I've started thinking this offseason, and it's been testing my, I would say, football knowledge and what I think the 49ers value at safety, because I look at safety and say, okay, you probably do want someone who's pretty athletic. He's your last line of defense. He is the safety. He's a safety blanket.
Yeah,
I think you have that.
There's so many ways that offenses can spread you out and single up those safeties and make them cover so many.
And teams are going to do that. I'm going to tell you right now. They're going to do that. They're going to do that with this guy. And I know we're going to get to this in a little while, but then I think that puts more pressure on your slot, your nickel. Yep. Puts a lot more pressure on your outside corners. We'll get to that, so I don't want to jump too far into that. But I think when it comes to this, I've started thinking this offseason, you know what? I think the 49ers value smarts, intelligence, and being in position over just athleticism. And that's fine. I understand that. There's more to playing football than just athleticism. But if you're telling me you can get a guy who can be just as athletic, if not more athletic, than Talanoa Hufanga, and be 90% of what he has mentally, that player couldn't be better than Hufanga? I don't know. I don't know if I would agree with that. That being said, the last thing I'll say, Talanoa Hufanga can get better. He was a rookie last year. I want to just make that clear. He can improve. And I think he's going to get his opportunity this year to prove just how much he's made strides-wise. We'll see what happens. I kind of err on the side of caution at safety in particular, not having a guy who's super athletic. I don't like that.
It just seems to me like when you make an organizational decision that you're not going to draft safeties before a certain round, say round 5, then you're always going to be trying to talk yourself into that the one you just drafted in round 5 is the diamond in the rough. Mm-hmm. And they've talked themselves into him because he's so professional.
Yeah.
Great. That's wonderful. He works hard in the meetings. He works out with Troy Polamalu. He does everything he needs to do. But what if he's just limited? What if he's just a 5th-round pick who gets the most out of his ability, and that's still not good enough? I mean, you made the choice to not invest until round 5. So I don't know. I always feel like when they're doing the hype, I mean, they were really hyping up Diamador Lenore last year until it didn't work out. So I'm curious. But
can we get an APB on that guy?
Better than Diamador last year. I'll give him that. He was much better than Diamador.
I agree with that. Can we get an APB on Diamador Lenore? Where is that, man?
Giving up big catches in minicamp. I'm not a fan.
Sorry.
Not a fan. The Niners really need Travarius Ward to be a stud, Mosley to be a stud, and Verrett to come back.
I agree.
That would help.
I agree.
Rod Simmons says, will a DB have at least 5 picks this season? No. The Niners don't get those kind of DBs. I'm sorry. I like them too. Richard Sherman was that kind of guy.
Yep.
Travarius Ward is more of like a lock you down, knock the ball away,
Yeah.
Kind of.
Well, what's funny, even with Sherman, as a 49er, I wouldn't say he was that guy. He still had the ability and he had the hands to. Yeah. I just don't think that's our defense. Our defense doesn't play that way. It's dink and dunk. We want you to dink and dunk your way down the field. So
they are very soft in the secondary. But again, what I don't like about that is like they're so invested in pass rush. They have a great pass rush. Their third down defense is bottom tier of the league. It was 20th last year. That shouldn't happen with that pass rush. But why is it happening? Because your secondary is playing a mile off the receivers. And what happened against the Rams? Just come back. And Tennessee, 3rd and 15, first down. Because your corners are more concerned about giving up a touchdown on 3rd and 15 than they are a first down. That's what I saw. So that's why Travarius Ward's supposed to be here. He's supposed to be getting up in people's faces. Let's see if he doesn't commit 100 pass interference penalties like Josh Norman did.
I'm with you on that.
Rod has another question. Will Ayuk and Debo both have 1,000 receiving yards? Does a championship stop lynch Peter's rumors? Maybe. Hold on. 1,000 receiving yards? What do you think? Both of them.
Both of them? Yes.
I think yes, too, because I'm betting against Kittle this year. Sorry.
Well, can we talk about that just for a split second, too? So I put out a post yesterday saying Trey Lance will have 4,000 plus yards this season to join. Yeah, Jeff Garcia, Steve Young. I just want people to understand and know that getting 4,000 yards isn't like getting 5,000 yards, especially in this day and age. And I think what people kind of forget sometimes, and they can look at Jimmy Garoppolo's stats, and I can read them off right now. I'm not going to, but I can show you multiple games, 13, 14 games where Jimmy Garoppolo threw the ball 25 plus times. All you have to do to get 4,000 yards is, one, stay healthy. We understand that. Stay healthy. Two, he has to be able to throw 236 yards on average per game. Now, does that mean there's going to be some weeks where he's going to boom and maybe have a 340-yard game? Sure. Are there also going to be weeks where he maybe throws for 215, 210 yards? Absolutely. So even though it's a run-first team and we're still going to run the ball, it's not like Kyle won't be willing to open up the offense, especially as I think the season progresses a little further. And then the last thing I'll say in regards to that, look at how Jimmy Garoppolo plays football, and then look at how Trey Lance plays football. They're two totally different styles. Jimmy Garoppolo's style of playing football is a bit more dangerous if we're going to be blunt about it. Sure. Jimmy Garoppolo plays a lot over the middle, whether it be short slants, intermediate crossers. That's how he plays football. Trey Lance, it's going to be more big playability, 100% will be that, but it's also safer when you're throwing the ball outside the numbers or you're throwing the ball away from corners too. So I just want people to realize and understand that getting 236 yards isn't as hard as I think people think it is. There will be opportunities, and then there's boom or bust play ability. So there will be times where he throws the ball to Deebo Samuel for 60 yards, and that's one play.
Also, why Jimmy's so risky is that he plays football on a tennis court. He knows there's only so much field he can work with, and he's going to force those throws in there. And everyone, maybe not early in his career, they didn't know it, but now everyone knows that he's throwing the ball in that little tennis court, and they're breaking on those in breaking routes, and he's getting a lot of heavily contested passes. What Lance is going to do is just, to use a basketball term, he's going to spread the field. He's going to spread defenses out, and they're not going to be able to just be like, well, he's going to throw in this 10-yard box. Like, no, he's not. He's going to throw anywhere, like Josh Allen, and that's going to make things really tough. Really tough. Tom Jensen says if Brock Pasta starts, we're beyond screwed. That is not nice. You're going to hurt his feelings, Tom. We do not hurt players' feelings here, okay? The motto on this show is if you don't have something nice to say about a player, you don't say anything at all, okay, Tom? Knock it off!
Get with the program, man.
Brock Pasta, that's hilarious. All right, moving on. Similar topic. Another fifth-round DB, Sam Womack. Why do the 49ers like this guy so much, in your opinion? Now,
yes.
It seems like he's here because they don't like Deommodore Lenoir as much as they did initially. This is the replacement. Why do you think they like Womack?
This is interesting because I think there are similar comparisons you could tie between Ty Davis-Price and Trey Sermon. Competition. Deommodore Lenoir, Sam Womack. Competition. Competition also breeds success. So I love it. Bring some guys in that are going to push these guys at minimum push them. That being said, so right after we drafted Sam Womack, I put a tweet out saying, Sam Womack, although he's 5'9", about 190, have people seen this dude's arms? He has 31 and 7/8 inch arms. Compare that to Richard Sherman at 6'3", 32 inch arms.
Right.
All I said at that point was, this kid intrigues me. He runs high 4.3s, low 4.4s. He's got the speed. So first and foremost, I look at him and I'm thinking about K'Wan Williams. We let K'Wan go. This dude coming out of the draft, I'll just say it right now, he's more athletic than K'Wan Williams ever was. K'Wan ran a 4.5. That being said, there's much more to playing. Yes, and there's much more to playing football, especially I would say corner, than there is than just speed. There's 100% more than that.
Hold on.
Go ahead.
He's faster and he has better length than K'Wan, which means that he has the ability to play outside. But in terms of how they're built, they're both 5'9", 190.
100%. 100%. Yeah, and so you look at the 49ers and what do they expect out of their nickel corners? You got to be able to tackle. Can you tackle? Yes, I think this guy he's willing to go in there, put his butt in there and tackle a guy. But I also think that there's some differences between K'Wan and him, and I think that's also what made the 49ers intrigued with him. You spoke on it earlier, and I was going to talk about it as well too. Go back to the NFC Championship game, and you look at when we were on defense. Why did we lose that game? Matthew Stafford, Odell Beckham Jr., and Cooper Kupp absolutely torched us. And if you go back and watch it, you can see some particular key plays where they needed to pick up a third down, and a lot of times I thought it was out of the slot. I thought it was Cooper Kupp killing out of the slot. Also, this is a little bit off topic, but I thought we played a lot more soft coverage, especially outside during that game as well too. And they were prepared for that. The Rams were prepared for that, and they cooked. They ate off that. That being said, you can look at that game. You can look at the wild card game against the Cowboys, and Cooper killed out of the slot as well too. So I think the differences between these two. I think that Womack plays the ball in the air. I'd say right now probably already better than K1 does. And K1's not bad. We've seen him play. But I think K1's losing some of his athletic ability. But where he kind of makes up for that at this point in his career is he's smart. He's very heady. He knows where he's supposed to be. He's seen a lot of football, played a lot of football. This kid, Womack's coming in. He led college football with pass breakups, 2021, and he's also Toledo's pass breakup king. He's their all-time leader in pass breakups. So to me, that signals, okay, this dude has the ability to jam at the line of scrimmage. He's not very big. You look at a guy like Cooper Kupp, 6'2", he's a big slot. So, but he has the ability to put his hands on you. He can push you out. But I think also when the ball's in the air, he plays through receivers really, really, really well. So this to me points more towards coverage. Can he get there and tackle? Yes. But we can't continue to get torched. And we can't have Dante Johnson coming in playing slot all the time if K1 or someone else goes down. So to me, I look at Womack and I say, okay, he's long, he's got the speed. Now it's just about the reps and does he have the confidence to be able to stay in this league and play? Because I think he's got the tools to be really. He intrigued me. I'm super intrigued. I'm not saying he's going to become this or he is going to become this, but I do think he has the skills to be a very good nickel corner. If he can put up seasons similar to K1 Williams, that's a home run signing.
What I think so interesting about the Sam Womack thing is like, I'm thinking that the Niners would sort of adjust their view in the secondary. Like, nickel is a starting position. Cooper Kupp's in our division. We got to match up. We face him twice a year. Let's really invest in the nickel spot. No, the Niners are very like locked in, stoic. This is who we are. This is what we do. We like K1 Williams. We won with K1. We don't need to change the formula. We have a formula. Our formula is a nickel like K1. And K1's a little old. And, we couldn't afford him this year. He got paid by Denver. We didn't have cap space. He's gone. What we really would like is another K1. Is that so much to ask? We think we can find another K1 in round 5. Oh, we found one with longer arms and faster wheels. At least they think so. We'll see. But I think they feel like, man, all we are asking for, it's like going to the car dealership. Like, we don't need a Ferrari. We just need a K1 Williams. And we know it's not too expensive. And we know we found at least one before. So let's see if we can do it again. I think they're banking on that. Like, they have a specific template in mind that maybe other teams aren't looking for, and they can find it again. We'll see. They didn't find it with Diamador. I don't know what that was. But maybe it was a symptom of not really having – it was a weird draft, right? Because it was the COVID year.
It was.
Playing 8 games and stuff like that. Was there no combine? Something. Anyway, it was
weird. It's very weird. It's very weird. And I think you look at nickel corner, especially in the 49ers defense. We know what K1 was, especially in 2019. That was just a beautiful season, really. He was locked out. But that being said, you're right. It is essentially a starting position in the NFL right now. So if you can get a guy that people don't talk about a lot, but might be underrated based off of his play, you take that. I think nickel is a very underrated position. I really do.
I mean, I kind of like the idea of having a corner who has the versatility to go in the slot.
That's my favorite.
So many top receivers go in the slot. And if you have a guy, you're paying $16 million a year in Charvarius Ward, and he can't go in the slot, like, that's not going to help you necessarily against DeAndre Hopkins all game when he moves over there. What you can't. So what I like about the Rams is they spend all this money for Jalen Ramsey, but they can put him wherever the hell they want.
Put him in the star. He's a star.
You need him to shut down a slot guy outside. Now, not every team can get Jalen Ramsey, but it just shows to me that you might want to prioritize that spot. But the Niners are set in their ways. They just need someone as good as Jaquiski Tartt. They just need someone as good as K1 Williams. They're solid. They're not great. They think they can get solid DBs in round 5. Maybe they can.
So do you think Sam Womack's going to be the starter?
Yeah.
At nickel? You do?
I do. Because it ain't, in my opinion, it's not going to be Diamador. It's not going to be Dante. It's not going to be Darquez.
Right.
It's going to be Womack, but it's not going to be right. Like, they're going to make him earn it every step of the way in the offseason.
Yeah.
But then in week 1, it'll be like, oh, look who it is. That's what I was
saying. So what about Mosley? What about Mosley? I know a lot of fans would say, well, Mosley should slide in.
I think that's what maybe – hey, look, if Womack's out there week 1, he's going to get tested. If it doesn't go well, that's what they should do is move Mosley in there. But they're all about, like, not making big changes. This is a good team. We're right there. Let's just keep the same structure and just plug in a different player who's similar. So I think Womack, they look at him as that guy. And look, frankly, from what I've seen from him so far, I have no opinion on his tackling, but he is very sticky in coverage.
I agree. He's a good outside corner. He is.
At the same time, like he'll jam in practice. He is very physical in coverage. So usually the 5th round rookie doesn't get the benefit of the call. You know what I'm saying? So I'm just curious, like, are the refs going to let him play the way he wants to play? I mean, they didn't let Josh Norman play the way he wanted to play, right? Sometimes you got to earn that.
Yeah.
Maybe at Toledo he got the benefit of the doubt, but over here I don't know. We'll see.
Yeah, you got to earn those strikes, young buck.
Exactly. But he does seem much more promising than Diamador. Doesn't have the length, doesn't have the speed, doesn't have the size. I never got that one.
I don't know why he was outside even early on through the first 4 weeks. He was playing outside. We knew he didn't have the speed for that. And I'm not trying to just like shit on the guy. I'm really not. We knew he projected as a nickel corner if he's going to make it in the league. He doesn't have that speed to be able to play on the outside. I think he has the mentality, and I think he has the tackling, I would say, prowess to make it there. But we'll see what happens. He's been already kind of almost a forgotten guy. It's kind of crazy.
I'm not a scout, but I have watched a lot of training camps and stuff. And last year, Diamador was getting all this hype, and I was standing there like, what am I missing? And I actually kind of liked Ambry. Now, he would still on 11s, but in one-on-ones, I thought he was actually really matching up well with Ayuk and Debo. And I thought Ambry was better. And everyone was like, Ambry's trash. Diamador is really – I don't like – really? Man, I don't know what I'm looking at, man. I've lost it. And by the end of the season, I was like, yeah, right there. That's what I'm talking about. So, yeah, I don't know, man. Yeah.
Well, it's funny, too, because when we look at corner and wide receiver are the 2 positions that I love. That's my favorite position. And I played football growing up, but it wasn't like to the super, super high level. But when I played, I did play corner. And so I look at a guy like Ambry Thomas and I say, listen, when he got his chance to play, he was in position all the time. Why? Because he has supreme athleticism. And when you do play corner on the outside, that is one thing you have to have 100%. Now, was he missing catches? Was he missing, at the point of attack? 100%. That's how guys like him get mossed. It sucks, and the end result either equals a big completion or a touchdown, and we don't like that. But I'm going to be completely honest. I never got too high or too low on that because he's in position. He got baptized. Let's be honest. He got baptized. He got thrown in and got baptized.
Yeah, Diamador Ambry was.
Yeah, exactly.
The game against Atlanta in particular stands out. He kept getting beat at the point at the catch point by like just in case.
100%. So guys are going to improve over time. They're going to, and that's what I see with Ambry Thomas.
Double B Studio says just finished Cohn Zone. I will defend you to the end. Not sure what you covered already, but this live, knowing the schedule, what is your top 5 NFC list? Oh man, I don't know.
That's a good question.
Rams, Bucks are up there. I feel like they're in a tier of their own.
Yeah.
The Niners, I'd like to say they're up there, but their offensive line gives me so many question marks, give me so many concerns, and it's such an important position group. Vikings are in the discussion, Packers are in the discussion, although I don't like the Packers. They have a great defense.
Thank you. Everyone's giving them so much credit. Why are we acting like
that team? If Christian Watson isn't good right away, what are they doing?
That's the question, right? Why are we acting like they're not going to go through some bumps and bruises along the way? And at the same time, if Aaron Rodgers, who's one of my favorite quarterbacks of all time, I love the way the dude plays, love the way he spins it. If he doesn't have a MVP season for 3 years in a row, then what? Doesn't that limit them as well? Now, I can understand why people say, "Oh, they're still going to win the division," because I do think they probably will win the division. But I'm sorry, I'm going to make Packers fans mad. I think the Packers are probably pretenders. I think they're pretenders this year. I think they can have a really good regular season schedule. So do I. I think the Packers can have a really good regular season schedule. They'll probably end up first in their division, but I can see them being an early out. I really can.
Hold on. Let me just pump the brakes on Green Bay for a second, because what they do have, which people gets overlooked, they have a hell of a defense.
Absolutely.
So good. It's probably might be better than the Niners because they have Jair Alexander at nickel. You know what I'm saying? They're not messing around. They have really, really good DBs.
Eric Stokes is a good young DB too. And Rasul Douglas just got paid after. Like, they have 3 really good starting corners right now.
And one of the greatest quarterbacks of all time. So if Christian Watson's good, then all of a sudden that team could win 13 games. So I'm skeptical on Green Bay, but I'm not writing them off. 2 teams that are.
Is it skeptical though? Is it skeptical? Because what if you think they're going to be good in the regular season? You just think they'll get bounced early in the playoffs? Because I do.
That's what happens to them every year. That's what happens to them every year. No, I'm with that. 2 more teams that no one's talking about. Philly. I mean, I'm not a huge Jalen Hurts guy, but he's pretty good. He's not making any money, and they really stacked that team. Like, O-line's good. They got A.J. Brown and Devontae Smith. Like that team. And then
they got corners now, too.
New Orleans was good last year when they didn't have Ian Book or Trevor Siemian starting. Now they got Chris Olave. They got Michael Thomas coming back. I know they lost Sean Payton, but that team has a great defense too. I mean, ask Tom Brady. They own Tom Brady over there. So that's a team that is in the mix, I guess. I don't really think much of Dallas.
I don't either. They gotta show me first. I'm just gonna be honest.
And the last team, even though I feel dumb even saying it anymore, Arizona. Even though they're the same team every year, they start hot, they fall apart, and that's what Cliff Kingsbury did in college too. You can go back and look at him at Texas Tech, hot starts.
Yep, same thing.
Anyway, I'm with you on that. Forget Arizona. Matthew Roberts says, "Can we get Trey and Deborah to race?" I don't even know what that means.
Yeah.
Who's Deborah? Deborah?
She fast? Can she play for us?
Yeah. Okay. Moving on. 2 more topics. We've been talking for a while. I like this. It's fun. Will the Niners ultimately trade or release Jimmy Garoppolo? It's the $1 million question.
Good question. That is such a good question. And I wish I knew the answer, but here's my best guess. I'm just going to be totally honest. I've been thinking about this for a while, and maybe the money is hard to deal with, but I just think the NFL is going to do something to Deshaun Watson. I think there's too many cases against him. I think I think there's enough pressure publicly on the outside that even if there's no discipline from him in the court system, I do think the NFL will probably suspend him, and I truly think it probably will be for the whole year. I don't think that the Cleveland Browns are going to want to go into this season, especially for a whole season, riding the coattails of Jacoby Brissett. I don't see that. I don't think there's a way that they can keep Baker Mayfield as well, too. So I'm thinking as we get closer and closer, and there's finally a decision made on Deshaun, which I think will probably happen closer to the start of the actual season. I think they're probably going to drag that out. I can see a scenario where Jimmy Garoppolo does get traded. I don't even want to say it's out of desperation. I think the Cleveland Browns have a championship contending roster. That roster is very good. I think it also would be in Jimmy Garoppolo's best interest to play for the Cleveland Browns as well, too, due to the style of offense that they do run. It's a lot of Nick Chubb, good amount of Kareem Hunt. They do have Amari Cooper now, who's also really good in the slot as well, too. That's going to help out Jimmy Garoppolo. We do see some dinks and dunks here and there. They do have a deep threat as well, too, but that may not be the best idea, over there with Jimmy Garoppolo. But I like what Anthony Schwartz, he's a receiver out of Auburn. I think he got drafted last year. He's a really nice player as well, too. I think it's in Garoppolo's best interest to play for the Cleveland Browns just because I think he has the ability to come in and be a leading presence in that locker room. Players do like to play for Jimmy Garoppolo. Does that mean he's the best quarterback ever or that he's always going to make, the right read? Absolutely not. But I think they do have a good defense and a good offense that if he can just lead the ship, honestly, if he can just lead the ship and Nick Chubb is still Nick Chubb, that team could, at minimum, go to the playoffs with him. I think Jimmy Garoppolo is probably going to end up as a Cleveland Brown when it's all said and done.
Well, look, if Deshaun Watson is out for the year, and hasn't happened yet, and Baker Mayfield really refuses to play for this team, then maybe, trading for Jimmy Garoppolo, who has 1 year left on his deal, is the best option. But you don't commit yourself to him long term. Although trading for 1 year of a guy is tough, but teams do it. I mean, the Niners trading for half a year of Emmanuel Sanders. Teams do it. So I can see it. But if he's not suspended for a year, what if he's suspended for 8 games? I'm not sure he's going to be suspended for the full year. He sat out last year as sort of like, I'm suspending myself. And he hasn't been charged with a crime. Yeah, he's got 25 lawsuits, and I'm not condoning his actions at all, but I'm not certain the NFL is going to necessarily suspend him and have him sit out for a second consecutive year. If it's 8 games, maybe the Browns say, instead of trading for 8 games of Jimmy Garoppolo, let's just ride it out with Jacoby Brissett and see what we can do. Because frankly, the difference between Jacoby Brissett and Jimmy Garoppolo is not that big. There is a difference, but it's not that big. So
I agree with that part.
I see what you're saying. It actually, Cleveland does make sense, but I don't know if it makes sense for 8 games. It'd have to be 17.
Yeah. And I think you raise a good point. the difference between Jimmy Garoppolo and Jacoby Brissett isn't insane. For 8 games, now if we're talking 8 games, I could probably stomach that. If it's the whole season, I probably would go Jimmy Garoppolo. But 8 games?
Right. Because you feel like Jimmy
Brissett's not that bad.
Even though you're not going to go anywhere, but he can take you to the playoffs. Jacoby?
Yeah. Are they not similar type of players, too? I mean, Brissett maybe has a little bit more athleticism, but it's only a little bit. He's more of a quarterback.
It's good. You know, it's funny. Jimmy gets credit for that, but Jacoby, everyone's like, who cares?
Right.
Yeah.
It's fishy.
Hey, all right. Last topic, and this is a bonus topic. This is not a Niners topic, but it's been on my mind all weekend, and I have a lot to say. So I want to ask you first, which team do you think will be this year's Cincinnati Bengals? And that, to me, is a team that sort of no one really sees as a Super Bowl contender in the lead up to the season, and then potentially goes to the Super Bowl, or at least just makes a deep run in the playoffs.
Yeah. So first and foremost, I think we all understand and know this. Health is wealth. So this is, if everybody can stay healthy, what team do I think can really turn it around? And that for me is Minnesota Vikings. I don't particularly like this team a whole lot or anything like that, but I think that they had a low-key underrated offseason. I think they returned a lot of their good position players. I think Kirk Cousins is a solid quarterback. I think Dalvin Cook is a really good running back. If he's able to stay healthy, I think he's going to continue to run all over everybody. We know what Justin Jefferson is already. Adam Thielen is still Adam Thielen. I don't think he gets enough credit for being the red zone threat that he is. He's really good in the red zone. Really good route runner, really good hands. I like him quite a bit.
Jefferson might be the best wide receiver in the league.
100%. His route running, he might be the best route runner in the league, on top of being the best wide receiver. 100%.
They added Zadarius Smith. I mean,
that's exactly what I was just going to get to.
Sorry.
No, you're good.
Yep.
You're good. I'm right there with you. This defense, I think, had an underrated offseason. Not only did they add Zadarius Smith, who, like we said, if he can stay healthy, he's a really good pass rusher. But also Andrew Booth out of Clemson. I like this guy. I think he's a really good corner. I think before the season's over, he's probably gonna jump ahead of Cameron Dantzler as their starting corner. Harrison Smith is still Harrison Smith. Lewis Cine out of Georgia, really good young safety. I think he's going to be a stud. So I think this defense improved, and I think the other reason that I add them to this is their division isn't insane. Their true competition is the Packers, and we talked about it a second ago. I think the Packers have a good chance to win the division, but I do still think that the Vikings can make the playoffs. At that point, they have to be a wild card. But I think I don't love this team or anything like that. But if there's a team that could turn it around, it would be them. They were 8-9 last year. I don't expect them to go 14-3 or something like that. But 10-7, 11-6, I definitely think that's doable if they can stay healthy and remember how to play football again. They should be fine. 8-9 last year was kind of to me embarrassing. The coach didn't get fired. He could have, because they were better. They're better than 8-9.
Yeah. Okay. I'm gonna take a mighty hack at this one. I'm swinging for the fences, and the way I look at this is the Bengals were 4-11-1 in 2020. If anyone had said a year ago, I'm picking the Bengals and Rams in the Super Bowl, you'd have been like, what the fuck are you talking about?
Right.
Like, what do you mean?
Rams is cool, but Bengals?
Yeah, what? Okay, so that's sort of where when I say the team I'm going to say, your reaction is going to be, what the fuck is Grant talking? Fair. That's what I'm going for. And then I'll explain it. The New York Jets.
Boom.
This team was 3-14 last year, right? Yeah. And maybe they're a couple years away. Maybe they're never going to get there. But so much, I mean, I don't really understand the narrative in this team. They were bad last year, but the Bengals were bad in 2020. Like, Joe Burrow won 2 games in 2020. Zach Wilson won 3. They both got hurt.
Right.
Let me just say real quick. Let me just go around the roster for the Jets. At wide receiver, they got Corey Davis, Elijah Moore, and Garrett Wilson. Garrett Wilson was the top wide receiver in this draft. He's not Jamar Chase, but he's a freaking stud. He's not.
He reminds me so much of what's his face? I used to play for the Stephon Diggs. He reminds me so much of Stephon Diggs.
Okay, so he has all pro potential. He's really, really good. At left tackle, they got George Fant. He's good. At left guard, they got Laken Tomlinson. Yep. They're not messing around with Aaron Banks. They got Laken Tomlinson. At center, they got Connor McGovern. At right guard, they got Elijah Vera Tucker, also first-round pick. At right tackle, they got Mekhi Becton, first-round pick. At tight end, they got C.J. Ozuma, who was a big free agent signing. I mean, this is a win now.
Like for the Bengals.
At running back, they got Breece Hall, the best running back in the draft, and Michael Carter from last year. On defense, they have Carl Lawson and Jermaine Johnson on the edges with Quinnen Williams in the middle. They have C.J. Mosley still. They have Sauce Gardner. They have DJ Reed. They have LaMarcus. This team is stacked. The only question is Zach Wilson trash? And I don't think he is. Everyone I brought on my channel last year was all thumbs up on Zach Wilson. He had one rough rookie year. So did Joe Burrow. You know what I'm saying? Like, it seems like, and I don't know that I'm not vouching for Zach Wilson. I don't really know. But if he's good, if he's a B plus quarterback, this team could win 10 games because I know Robert Saleh's a good coach. Anyway, Jets.
No, I'm with you on that as them being a dark horse. That's a really good dark horse. I won't.
Dark horses.
Facts. The darkest of dark horses. I don't think this is a team that's probably going to go to the Super Bowl, but your reasoning behind that, I don't think anybody can question that if we're going to be totally honest. We talked briefly about this before we came on, and I said I see them as a team that's probably at least a year away just because they do have young pieces that are going to be contributing, right? They're going to be contributing.
I'm somewhere in New Jersey being like, Grant, what the fuck? Shut the fuck up. What are you doing?
Go cover the Jets, man.
What are you doing? Pressure on me, man. No, 10-7 Super Bowl appearance. I want that, Robert Saleh. I'm putting my neck out there for you. Niners, Jets in the Super. No, I'm not saying that.
Give it to me. I'm with you though. I actually do I like the Jets and their potential to improve. I'm not going to give them 10 wins this season. They should at least double their wins last season, though. I do think they're at least a year away. I'm with you, though. If Zach Wilson can be a B to B plus type guy, I think they're set up for the future. And coming into the draft last year, I did like Zach Wilson. I still like Zach Wilson. A lot of people are, want to say, oh, he's not going to be this or he's not going to be that. He's a little bit small. That dude is a natural thrower of the fucking football. That dude can throw the ball. I'm just going to be honest, man.
I've watched a lot of Trey Lance. And I like Trey Lance. I love Trey Lance. I love his skill set. I love his potential. Still, the way I would describe the way he throws the ball is a little funky. And, there's nothing wrong with funk. I like funk. But the spiral isn't quite right and whatever. Who cares? The ball gets there. And just like with Peyton Manning. With Zach Wilson, he spins the fuck out of the ball. I like this. I mean, and he can do it from all different arm platforms. And he'll make throws. You just watch his highlights from last year, you'd be like, damn, Zach, that was a really nice throw to Braxton Berrios or whoever the hell we're working with. So, yeah, I mean, it's the same offense the Niners have pretty much. It's very similar. Maybe it's more like the Packers, but now that he's got a legit running back, a legit tight end, a legit number one wide receiver, I mean, it's a whole different team than last year.
Corey Davis is a really solid number 2. Elijah Moore may be a really underrated slot receiver.
And their O-line is nice. Their O-line is
I think their O-line is top 10. I think they're going to have a top 10 O-line this year. I really do. They're nice.
I don't know. I mean, I wouldn't say the Jaguars. I'm looking at them like good quarterback.
See what Frank Reich does.
He's going to move the needle, though. Sorry, guys.
Yeah. Or I said Frank Reich. Doug Peterson. We'll see what he does. He's the coach of the Jags now.
I don't know what the Bears are doing. I feel so bad for Justin Fields. I feel like he's going to be the worst quarterback from that class solely because he went to the worst situation.
I'm with you. I think I feel so bad for him because I like him. I like Justin Fields a lot. I just think he's got a lot working against him. That sucks.
Then you got the Patriots with Mac Jones. They went to the playoffs last year, and he's a solid quarterback. I got to give him credit. He's a solid quarterback, but where is playmakers? Kendrick Bourne? Hunter Henry?
Tyquan Thornton. That's who it is now. We'll see what happens. We'll see. Does he have hands like that? I don't know.
To me, like the teams in the AFC West with the weapons, Jets and the Dolphins. Seriously, even the Bills. Like you got Stephon Diggs and what?
Jamison Crowder now. They just signed it's the tight end. They got OJ Howard. I think the Bills are stacked. I'm not gonna lie. I think the Bills are stacked. They got my favorite corner from this draft, Kyer Elam. Oh, I think the Bills are stacked.
I know that's pretty much everyone's favorite pick in the AFC, but
that's mine.
I'm going with the Jets. No, I'm just kidding. I'm not going with the Jets. I might.
Say it with the Jets. I'm going with the
Jets. Lil Lars Louis says, who do you think we could trade for Nick Chubb? Debo.
Hey, whoa. Chill, buddy. We're good with the run game.
I don't know what's going to happen. I don't think it's going to happen. Lester McDaniel's a new member. Thank you. A lot of people are like kind of surprised that I said the Jets. I'm a big Robert Saleh guy. Sacramento Mike says Dwight Smith said he knew they were going to win versus the Raiders in 2002 because the NFL is rigged in the playoffs. Whoever Vegas bets on will win. Bucks 2 years ago and Rams last year.
Hey, those teams were good too. We got to give them some credit. They were good teams.
Really? You think the NFL? Sacramento Mike says the NFL is rigged. Wow. That's a heavy accusation, Sacramento Mike. Double B Studio says if this player gets injured, the Niners are screwed. Which one? I think Jimmy Ward. I think Trey Lance. I'm sorry, man. Brock Pasta, Nate Studfeld.
Yeah, on offense, I agree. On offense, Trey Lance. On defense, I would agree with you. Jimmy Ward.
I know it's really bold to pick the quarterback. The starting quarterback. If he gets injured, the Niners are in trouble. Boom! Pay me all the money. This is my analysis. Thank you. Who else? How about left tackle Trent Williams?
Ooh,
what is
that's
that
a huge loss
about Trent Williams? How about that?
That's the question. That's literally the question. We talked about this for 20 minutes today? We don't know.
That's the one thing it's the one player they can depend on.
Right. He's a weapon. Colton McKivitz.
Has Aaron Donald ever had to answer a question on the record about Daniel Brunskill and why he owns him?
Who's that guy? That's probably what he'd say.
That's messed up.
Devo, who?
Yeah, right? That's hilarious.
Yeah,
anyway, that's our show. Hour and 10. This was a lot of fun. Thank you, Young Ja.
You're welcome, Young Grant. No.
Appreciate it. All right. That was a good show. Thanks everyone for watching and for donating. I will see you tomorrow because tomorrow is another day. See you then. Peace.